Stepped out 5, so I don't know. That was, I could have told him about the shaitel also. Okay.
Recording in progress.
Good enough, Shabbos. The Seder starts off with the Iyul of Masa Shekel. Okay, there's going to have a lot of kashas on it. I'm not answering the basic kashas, why do you need a chalesh and all these things, and what did he see and all these things. And that the machzis has to do machzis, why a machzis, not a shekel. But the kashi is the simple one. Why would the Rebbeinu Shem give a mitzvah that's an aveira? He's telling him to count Klal Yisrael, and counting Klal Yisrael brings a negef, brings a magefa. And this is supposed to save me from the magefa. Don't give me no magefa, and don't give me no makdafshu. Don't come in with what you give me the thing there. It's not something that's there and you're getting rid of it. I'm giving it to you. You're making it. So I want to tie into this, that the Rebbeinu Shem really wants to know how many people he has in Klal Yisrael, but not how many bodies he has. He wants to know how many soldiers he has. In other words, how many people that are doing Avodas Hashem, how many embassy Yidden there are. That's what he wants to know. So you say, can you count yourself? What do you mean count yourself? Count yourself. You're one, and Moshe Rabbeinu is one. Are you equal to Moshe Rabbeinu? How could be equal to Moshe Rabbeinu? You're doing what God gave you to the best of your ability, and Moshe Rabbeinu is doing what God gave him to the best of his ability. Then you're equal to Moshe Rabbeinu. You can't do more than God gave you. So therefore, there's nothing for you to do. That's not the point. You have to do what's in your hands to do. And that the Rebbeinu Shem wants. And the Rosh Yeshiva God, they used to learn that the Shavuos, the Loshin is Bamidbar is always before Shavuos. And sometimes they have Nosai also in between. But Bamidbar must be before Shavuos. And the Loshin is, used to be a normal Loshin, that he used in Yiddish, but if you look in the Rabbi Yankov Emden Siddur, you'll see the same thing. That count and be Mekabel. What does counting have to do with being Mekabel in Torah? So the Rosh Yeshiva used to say, the reason you have to count is a person has to if you're going to learn Torah, and it's a vast Torah, and it takes case of keches to learn Torah, and the person has a yish, or he's a shy person, or he's a guy who has his battles in him, so he's going to give up. He's not going to try. So the Yakir is the Torah wants to tell him who he is. He's choshev, he's one, he's counted in Klal Yisrael. You're one. And if Moshe Rabbeinu is only one and you're one, so then obviously you can do it. So go out there and do it. And that gives you the keches to be able to overcome. And the truth is that type of chizuk, that that the Torah tells you can do it, so you can go out and do it, really works. The Gemara says, kids come over all the time, I don't need a bracha, I should be a Talmud Chacham. You don't need a bracha, it's a guarantee. You learn, you'll be a Talmud Chacham. The ancient says, don't believe it doesn't exist, it's not possible. So therefore, obviously, if you put your keches in, you're going to know it. So don't knock yourself. Get out there and do it. That's the main thing. That's what I think is the main chiddush here. that the Torah wants you to realize who you are, and you should try to aim for it. If you don't make it, so then the Indian is you should give Kesef Kippurim. In other words, you're saying you won, but you're not one, because you're not doing what you're supposed to do. So why are you counting yourself as one? So now come the Neinish. Okay, now come the Neinish. So therefore I'm giving Kesef Kippurim for it. So we hear from here that there are times when a person is mechuyev to try to do something above himself in order to get to a certain madrega. Where else do we find something like that? I used to have two mashalim. I don't want to, right now I can only think of one, so I'm sorry, I'll give you that one. You have in Birkas Hamazon, the Gemara is talking about in the Gemara, but a cotton can be mighty god in Birkas Hamazon. And you have it a few places, but he is a Parshas. That it can be mighty. So it says, what's the story over there? It goes over there, they have a Gemara like this. The Malachim asked the Levention, says, Yisha Hashem Tonu V'elecha V'yosem Chol Sholem. He said, you always say, Lo Sisa upon him. I don't show favoritism, so how do you say Yisha Tonu V'elecha V'yosem show favoritism to you? You don't show favoritism. So the Bensham answers that how can I not? I was mechayev them v'chalta s'voyte v'achta, and they bench even the kazayis or kebeya. You always put that lotion because it's machlikas kazayis or kebeya. That's the reason. But they have to have a minimum of you to eat before you chayev, and they mechayev themselves there before s'voyte. So what's the yichus? So it is the kasha taki, if you have somebody is going to make a bracha achrein or going to bench and he didn't eat any bread, right? You can tell the bracha without Torah, right? That's what you tell him. So why don't you tell this person also it's a bracha without Torah? Why you bench him show some favoritism? Because it is. It doesn't make any sense. So obviously, if we talked before the Rabbanan made it takona. Otherwise, there's no yichus. So the shayla is, why would the Rabbanan make a takon to make a bracha without Torah? So I said, what is the benishul made the v'chalta s'voyte v'achta? In other words, you don't have to eat until you ate, and you feel stark, and you can go out and do whatever it is there. But if you ate an achila, even if it's a kazayis or kebeya, you're not dying yet. You got another day. Got another something. So you have skeiches for something. You thank for that. I don't have to thank you just because I got the größte keiches. I got the partial keiches. I also thank. That's our core, that everything comes from Kodesh Baruch Hu, and you're thanking for him. You're makatei for it. That's what the Benishim is saying. So then the Rabbanan said, verkehrt, from this story, they made the takonet. Like this, they wouldn't have made the takonet. Aber bald the Rebbeinu is morning that I owe them because they believe. So let's make a takonet that a person has to train himself to get used to benching. That he'll bench on a kazayis and a kebeya, and therefore Mamela will always bench. So therefore that's the point there. That was such a grace of Mila. So there is a training time that the bench, even though we're not ready for it, we're not there yet. But we have to train ourselves. We have to act as if we have it already. And that's the point that I think that's over here also. Count. I want you to count. I want you to see what the goal is, to be one. Otherwise you're going to learn I don't have to be the one. I got to be one. I got? Okay, it's dangerous. So give luck. That's the point of that. Then we had, now we're up to Sisa. Okay, I said we're going to leave the Shabbos for Sisa, so I'm skipping to there. No, there's a piece before that, okay. So I'm skipping the three, the two Keteris and the, what do you call it? Maybe in the Keteris also could say something. Shiva said I've walked once. says what they made 500. If you count up the psumim they made in the first one, right? So you had 500, and then 500, 250. I don't know what the numbers are, but it's not big numbers, right? And in the end, how much oil? You're going to put in a hin, I think, right? Shem and Mishas, we really say hin here. Oh yeah, Shem and Shai is hin, and a hin. Oh, how much is a hin? So I assume a revius is a hin. So 4 reviusin. We'll give him even the biggest thing. It's a pint.
Revius halug.
Huh?
Revius is a lug.
A revius is a revius of a lug.
Of a lug. How much is a lug? Okay, whatever it is.
12 lug.
I think that the hen is
12 lug.
Huh?
There's 12 lug in a hen.
12 lug in a hen. So then we can figure it out. So then they take a lot more than I thought. Okay. So you got 12 lug in a hen, so that's 48. 48 times 4 ounces. Let's say go l'chumudik ounces. You want to go l'kula, 3 ounces. So it's 48 over 100 and something ounces.
192.
So a gallon, okay. 62 gallons, 64, probably 2 gallons or something like that, 2 gallons, 3 gallons. And you have all this stuff, and you're making oil out of this, right? It's going to be, I guess, oil, even a drop of it, will be, how are you going to get it on anything? You're supposed to be make mashiachas with this, and everything has to be moshach with this, right? You can even take the melech, you're going to pour oil on his head. Where am I going to get the oil from? Where's the liquid going to come from? Right? There's not enough things. So it's a mess. The mention made, you're in these orders, you're still going to have oil and the thing over there. So why do you have to tell me that you're not allowed to put it on anybody in order to do this? It's a ness. Now, that's not going to have to do with avecha. Even if you can figure out how to do it with a ness, it's still chorus. And he's saying that, that's what he's saying there. No, you got to understand. You're saying, I couldn't do it if it was God not permitting me, how am I able to do it? So he's saying you can't say that. Even if there's somewhere that you could do it, it's still going to be yours. It will be chorus for it. So that's the point you have to learn. There's no excuses. See, God shows He's on my side. Didn't show nothing. Then it says, Rei Krosi B'Shem B'Tzal B'Nu B'Kur. The mice is only 13 years old, B'Tzal. I mean, it's a very strange family. And, or is he the Gatlus of them? I don't know, however you want to look at it. Who married Miriam? What was the difference in ages?
Kalev married Miriam.
I meant Kalev married Miriam. Who was the kid? Kalev married Miriam. How old was he? So when he was sent out for the Meraglim, he was 37 years old. Right? How old was Miriam by the time they sent out for the Meraglim? This happened the second year, the Meraglim. Right? You have to go through the whole Egel, the whole Kabbalah Saltera, the whole Egel. So we're going down the whole year, at least there. So Moshe Rabbeinu went out at 80, he's 81. She's 6 years older, she's 87. So she's 87, he's 37. She's 50 years older. But when did she marry him? When he's 8 years old. How do I know he married the days? Because it's B'Tzalo, then Uri, then Chur, then Kalev. Kalev is only 37. He's 13, and he's got the tzivu before the Meraglim, even to build the Mishkan, right? So he's already older, 13 years old to be able to build the Mishkan. So how old were each one? So each one gave birth to 8, whatever that means. And this thing doesn't. So So then it's a funny shidduch. Whatever you're going to tell me, it's a funny shidduch. Okay, nobody wanted to marry us. They state. Okay, so nobody wanted to marry us. So you're so drastic, you married a baby. I mean, they took him out of the crib. What do you think those things? You see, in those years they weren't so much, but anyway, because you see by Nomi telling Rus and what's the name? That Shabbos, do I have any more children in my stomach that there should be people to me having you? So mashma that they were already married and they would have waited for the kid. Mashma she would have had. So maybe they weren't embarrassed that the woman is so much older than the man. You know, when they say that now you're paying for it. But in my time, I know a guy that was so embarrassed, his wife was a half a years older than him. He was so embarrassed to mention it. That's what he called, like it's, what do you call it? Instead of saying, see how what a chosh of a guy I am, a more mature person even picked me to be the chosin, they thought the other way. Okay, then comes the Shabbos. So, like this. This is, I'll give you the end, then I'll give you the beginning. I want to claim there are 3 parts of Shabbos. You have a sitter here a second? All of the tefillas of Shabbos talk about this part of Shabbos. Friday night, we have Vayichulu in there. But I want to think that Vayichulu is also because of what I'm going to say. And that's why we say Vishamu Bnei Yisrael, which ends off this Parsha. Vishamu Bnei Yisrael is the last piece of this Parsha of Shabbos. And the thing over there. And we say it Friday night. We say Vishamu Shabbos morning in Shemona Esrei itself. And what do you call, and remember, how does it describe Shabbos to the morning and to Mincha? So Friday night is Vayichul. That's all we know about it. So it's B'ris Olam, it's this and that. I'll get to Vayichul is not a steer to that. But Shabbos morning, that's Friday night. I'm not looking for Shabbos morning already. You guys hear Shabbos morning already? Oh yeah. So Yismach Moshe Matnas Chelkoi. Oh no. But Lo Nisata Hashem Lekecha. He brings them Yishamru. That's it. Mitzvah Secha. Lo Nisata Hashem Lekeinu Legei Otzis. V'lo Lichalta Lemalkeinu Le'Oivdei Psilim. V'gam Le'Menuchase Le'Yishun Ha'Reilim. Yisrael Amcha. Why do you use 3 adjectives, I guess, adjectives or synonyms for Avodah Zorah? Why don't you just say, he does nothing to Goyim? And if you want to be technical, a Goy is called an oral even if he's a Gemald. So it has nothing to do with it. So why are we calling it 3 times on the Goyim? Sometimes it doesn't. It's called on Jews. The first one, we don't give Goy Oretz. But we don't give it to any Michal Shabbos either. And we don't give it to anyone who doesn't believe. You know, these things that we don't do. In other words, it's only given to Shomer Shabbos, the senior of Shabbos. And that's what I was talking about. What is that got to do with B'ris Olam? B'ris Olam is given to the world. Yitzias Mitzrayim is to the world. It has nothing to do with the Shomer Shabbos and not the Shomer Shabbos. Menucha, I'm only giving to Shomer Shabbos. And then it says, what's in Menucha? Avram Yoga Yisrael Gerana Yaakov one of Yenucha boy Menuchas Avor the Dover Menuchas Emes V'Munah. Talking about Menucha, not talking about B'ris Olam, not talking about anything. Talking about Menucha. So the only thing that we're talking about is Oinik Shabbos. What's that? And this is this part of Shabbos. The 3 parts of Shabbos. Shabbos commemorates, and each one is important. It commemorates B'ris Olam to teach us a lot of lessons. How you have to think about things when you create something. It's not just the Eitzah, I just created and then I go weiter. That's the mean. It has to be with a cheshbon. And then you have Yitzias Mitzrayim, that we have a chiyuv of avodah to the Kodesh Baruch Hu, because he took it. That's why the bittul malacha. He took away. An eved is more niker with bittul malacha than he is with working. Let's say a kid comes home from school. So what do you tell him? You tell him, go do your homework, and then you can go play, right? But you have to do your homework first. So that's only an achayis. Didn't mean that I'm an eved, I've got to do the homework, I'm your eved, you know? And the dude, you have a chayis, and you got to do your chayis, and then you have to go. An eved never has that time. An eved, you tell him, do this. Okay, wait a minute, I'll have to figure out what else you should do. And you're always doing what he wants you to do. And if he's not telling you, then you rest. I would, as a picture of an eved in our society, because we don't have avodim, so I don't think we really can picture it. It would be a chauffeur. You know, there's a guy who wears the fancy outfit or drives the car. His job is to take the boss to work. And anywhere else the boss has to go that day, right? So if he has to wait by the car, maybe the boss has a meeting somewhere all of a sudden and he has to go. He doesn't have to give him an appointment thing to list before. If he's not there when the boss comes down and says, I got to go, he's going to be fired. I mean, there's no question about it. I mean, it looks that they're part of, they have a great time. They all enter together when the cars are parked, no one has anywhere to go. But they're already 24 hours. I mean, they're on the body, though, that the boss could tell me. That's Pshat Shomru. So that's Shabbos, okay. And the third thing of Shabbos is what we're talking about now. So let's see what it says. What's he telling me this for? He's telling me that it not Ben Beis Hamikdash is not Deicha Shabbos. Why? Ki oisi beni v'nechem v'deirei seichem. It's a sign between me and you. L'das ki ani Hashem kadishchem. That who should know? Rashi says the goyim should know why you're holy. And from the Gemara is mashma that the Jews should know. You should know that why you're holy. But let's say so why tak are we holy? I mean, what does Shabbos got to do with holy? Why does it show me that we're holy? So that's why kind of it's Shomru. Let's try to help the Shomru. It's a list of the Shomru is also Shabbos. Last is Shabbos at the race of Bris Olam. They made it into Bris Olam, right? They kept Shabbos, and by their keeping Shabbos, they made Shabbos into a Bris Olam, into a treaty forever. With who? I assume with God, right? But it was on one side. Usually a treaty is brought from two sides. I think Dalton. It's a sign forever just between me and you. We'll talk about the me and you part. So God made the world in 6 days. On the seventh day, he rested, and he also gave you neshama yisera. Vayinofash means he gave you neshama yisera. The nefesh, something like that. What's that got to do with anything? This is why we're holy. We don't believe anymore. I mean, I have a lot of kashas on what I'm saying. Not kashas. I don't know the oisfeel of them. That's what I'm trying to say. We're mechuyev to believe that whatever the Berenishim runs the world through what we call teva. Whatever he created in the first 6 days were put into the bria in the 6 days. That's also Vayechulu. When you then go through Vayechulu, what's the word lasos to mean at the end? It has no meaning. In other words, he rested from the work. Lasos. What's the lasos? Doesn't even translate. Elavos, so the Goyen says, lasos means even for the future. Now, with anything that will be happen in the Bria was all created in the 6 days. Okay. I once read this in the OU magazine. I forgot what they call themselves. Jewish something. Action. So they used to have a shtickle science piece in there. I don't get it anymore, so I don't. But once upon a time, so they had one where the world is on 23 degrees off its kilter. We're off 23 degrees off center. Okay? If you notice, in Parshas Bereshis, it doesn't mention anything about seasons. Just as Benjamin made the world. After the Mabel, he says it'll be cold and warm and this and that. Right? He mentions seasons. Till then there was. So mashma, you can learn that the seasons came after the Mabel. What happened? What did he change? So he learns this way. So the reason the seasons is because we're off center. If we would be on center, there would be no seasons. We'd all be the same temperature, same thing, all 365 days a year. Wherever we are, I guess. But since we're off, so we'll cut closer to the sun, whatever it is, it's possible. Okay, something like that. I don't know. So you want to learn, it says, minus the Haim opened up. How do you bring all the water? So minus the Haim also opened up. So the minus the Haim came through volcanoes. Now they threw out the lava, they threw out the thing, they threw out a lot of stuff on the bottom. So all the volcanoes of the world exploded at that second. So it threw it off. It's what he called. Good. So then that's the theory. I mean, what's the difference? But that's why we were off the 23 degrees. Okay. Okay, so but everything is done there. With all that, the Rebbeinu Shalom has full control of everything that takes place in the world. Even though we're under the laws of nature. So the Rebbeinu Shalom should have no say anymore. He doesn't need them. He made the laws of nature already. You pull him Hashem Dover. It's impossible. The Rebbeinu Shalom doesn't have full control. In fact, in the Ani Namens, we have the first Ani Namen is Hubayrei and Manhig. 2 things. A guy manufactures a machine, right? So the manufacturer made the machine, doesn't run it. Then you can have someone run the machine, didn't make it, right? So why should be two Ani Namens? Why is it one Ani Namen? Because the Rebbeinu Shalom made the Bria in such a way that he's the manig. So that's really Asher Yotzar. I mean, some a lot of things in here, but that's Asher Yotzar. What are you making a bracha about pipes for? I mean, you're made out of pipes. You're right. I'm made out of pipes. But what's the point of the bracha? Because if I go to the bathroom and I had to hold it in or whatever is going to hurt me. Possibly, it's possible. But I think my blood system works a lot better on pipes than going to the bathroom. I mean, that's mamish. I feel a shoachas. I feel rega echad would kill me. You know, you get a blockage in the heart, you got a heart attack. You got a blockage in the brain, you're going to get a stroke. I mean, that's all you need. So one of the pipes got blocked off. The Rebbeinu Shalom made you with pipes in order that he controls you. He has full control over you. And the thing over there. Okay, so the Rebbeinu Shalom, so even in Vayichulu, we recognize that everything was made in the 6 days. There can't be any more the other thing there. So in a way, we're belittling God. We're saying that he can't be mechadish now yesh me'ayin. That's what we're saying. Can, maybe he can. I don't know the word the way he say he can. He maybe can, but he said he's not going to. Whatever reason it is. But anyway, he's not going to. Pekin has full control. Right? We don't see that. How does he have full control? He gave it over. Raised this. Okay, we see it really before. I mean, I guess the guys who predict the weather are not really that stupid. But if you're talking about error, they probably are the big guys who make the worst errors in the world, or the biggest margin of they goof the most, right? Yet they still hold their jobs. I remember the Chiddush was CBS had hired a guy once, when I was a kid, so going back 50, 60, 70 years ago. The guy worked for them, and he was the most accurate predictor. Never went to school, but he falsified his what he called, so they had to fire, his credentials. He went to this school, and they found out he didn't go to any of them, so they fired him. But he was the most correct. He said, so all that data doesn't mean anything. Remember, we had a big report, Purim was going to snow, and then they said Purim was going to rain, right? Okay. So obviously they see something. What is it going to be? Not necessarily, but you can change it. And it's not a stira. In other words, that precipitation was created. How will it come down? That's up to the Benisham. Now you do it there. So the Benisham has full control. So now that's what makes us holy. That we don't have to believe that the Rebbeinu Shalom can do anything now. That's not important. The Rebbeinu Shalom doesn't make a Yeshmayin. Afal Pekin has full control. That's stire. That makes us holy. We're lowering it, and we're still that he's the Rebbeinu Shalom. He is the boss. He is the only one. He is the creator. They can't believe that. They have no sasogit to such a thing. It could be, and this is, again, what I'm saying now, you should realize, I haven't proven it, haven't doing it, but it's an idea that you can think about. We say Tillim now. It's Ein Tes. Shreich HaMoscha L'Goyim Shelo Yilucha V'Amamlucha Shelo B'Shmecha. Right? We're not talking about Christians. We're not talking about idol worshippers. We're talking about Muslims. Believe in one God. The Rambam says it's not Avodah Zarah. So why are you saying such a thing, Shreich HaMoscha L'Goyim, for? We're talking about Muslims. We're not talking about anybody else. How are you saying the Tillim? So I kind of, maybe that's that thing. They can't believe the Rebbeinu Shalom can't do everything. Now, by that, it's felt in the Rebbeinu Shalom. If he can't do anything, he can't do Yesh Mi'ayin anymore, then he's not Rebbeinu Shalom anymore. That's their belief. No, that could be the Rebbeinu Shalom. It also may be with Mitaretz. How come you had so much Avodah Zarah in the time of Malchus Yisrael? I mean, they had the Nevi'im, all the Nevi'im were there. So, I mean, what was the Shaila? Right? They called him Baal. Right? Why you call him Baal? Baal's boss. What do you mean, boss? I mean, that is originally I used to think that they called Moilach, there's two Avodah Zarahs that the Torah is really makbar on, it seems. Moilach, that it says when by the Arayas it puts in the Yishon, don't go give your kids over to the Moilach, to the everything there. Why are you picking on the Moilach? Any Avodah Zarah is all bizarre. The Moilach is a bigger Avodah than any Avodah Zarah. And the Baal is a worse Avodah Zarah than the Yerovim ben Nevot's Avodah Zarah. If I believe in Avodah Zarah, it's Avodah Zarah. What difference does it make? I think that. No, so I used to think it meant, why are you giving the name Moilach? Moilach means king, something, I guess, from the Melech, and I guess, and Baal means boss. So it means no questions. If you don't believe in asking questions, why don't you believe in me? Why on me you say you have to ask questions? leaving me already, so I have a time on you. That you're way up the creek. Maybe it's not that way. Maybe its pshat is that they give a different definition to God. The God has to be kol yochel, meaning not kol yochel because he left himself that way, that he's able to do it, but kol yochel because he didn't limit himself in any way. If that's the case, so they didn't believe in that. So therefore it made sense that even though they have Nevi'im talking about God, you're only one God and one good, and they believe in that, but not the way we're supposed to believe. So maybe that's also called Avodah Zarah. So on Melech we find there was a getchke, there was a statue for Melech. For Baal, I'm not so sure that there was one. It says he took out the Mizbeches and all these things. Didn't say he took out the statues. So I'm just wondering if they didn't, maybe the Baal didn't have a statue. He's a kol yochel, whatever, they didn't give him anything there. But it's still not what we're supposed to believe. So that's the problem. Okay. Now I'm going to give you the Gemara. Gemara says, well, you guys will look up, it's Tazayin Amud Aleph in Beya. It starts, the shape of the Gemara is like this. It starts by the big lines, the Yikkir. The Benishim gave him matana, the Klal Yisrael, and he told Moshe Rabbeinu, go tell him I want to give him a matana. I have a matana called Shabbos, thing didn't go tell him. The Gemara goes into a shaila, if you give a matana to somebody, you have to tell him you gave him a matana. Why? Because the purpose of matanas are to make friendship. So if I don't know that you gave it to me, so I'm not makatayv to you, so I'm not friendly with you. So the thing is, if you give a piece of bread to a kid, to a baby, you smear his mouth up with the jelly or whatever you put on it. And when the kid comes home, the mother will ask him, who smeared your mouth? And say, oh, the man that gave me the bread. And who gave you the bread? So then you know that someone did your tevik, fed your kid, when this thing over there. So there's a chiyuv to tell. So the Gemara comes out that the matana that's avida l'gluyay, that you're going to find out anyway, like Moshe Rabbeinu. There was Koran upon of this week, the end of the Seder. So obviously, who could give it to me? Only the Rabbeinu Shalom. I can't get it anywhere else. So therefore, he didn't have to tell me about it. Or there's something that's not avida l'gluyay, I'm mechuyev to tell. So the Gemara says Shabbos is a matana that's avida l'gluyay, that you'd be able to tell that God gave it to you. To Machal Shabbos, would you say that the Shabbos makes a difference than Sunday? I don't think so. I mean, I don't know, but I don't think so. I think that to him, Shabbos is it has no meaning. So it's nothing. It's a regular day. Then the Gemara goes right there. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Shem ben Yochai, all the mitzvahs of the Torah the Benishim gave b'Fahestia, except for Shabbos, because Shabbos says B'nei Uvei B'nei Yisrael, private thing. I don't know. I learned the Chumash, and it seems to tell me it was Naselas HaDibros. I think there was no more public announcement in the world than Naselas HaDibros. So why you told me you didn't tell me about Shabbos? Like the Gemara on this point, if he didn't tell him about Shabbos, so then how come Goyim are punished for not keeping Shabbos? Goyim are punished for not keeping Shabbos or for keeping Shabbos? For keeping Shabbos, not for not keeping Shabbos. So the Gemara then says, oh, we told them about Shabbos, we didn't tell them the smatn schoren of Shabbos. Yeah, you know the schar of any mitzvah, except for kibbur avim? Don't know any other mitzvah in the world either. So why is Shabbos different? And then the Gemara says he told them about the Sar Shabbos too. He didn't tell them about the Neshama Yisera. That's the Gemara. So the Gemara makes absolutely no sense. Right? So this is what I want to tie in, what Shabbos is. The Rebbeinu says, I created the world b'teva. Everything's b'teva. But in this incorporation of teva, I excluded every Shema Shabbos. They run under my direct things. What would mean like Lagabe that? You got stage 4 cancer. Okay, I got stage 4 cancer. The bracha is it should go away. It shouldn't be there tomorrow. How can it not be there tomorrow? It cannot be there tomorrow. That's how you do it. And that's what happens sometimes. Well, I should not make the bracha is a different story, but I can give that bracha. It doesn't mean anything. We pray for guys who have cancer. Why are you praying? You're not allowed to pray for something that needs a ness. It's not a ness, because that's teve. Teve is it comes and it goes. That's what your point is, certain things. Every machli you have comes and goes. You got the knowing you today, tomorrow went away. You're allergic to things. How many times you see that? Guy's allergic to things, goes away. It also comes. You're not allergic to things, and all of a sudden you're allergic to things. Okay. So it works both ways. That's called teva. But obviously, it's not in the teva of the world. It's not in the odds of the world. We're yotzim min teva in that sense. Is that considered yotzim min teva? Okay, let's see what science says. Okay, science is teva, so they claim anyway. Okay, a pollster. What's his, error, point of error? How much percent? Anyone know? It's 5%. In other words, if somebody would have said Harris would have won by 4% and she still lost by 1%, she'd be considered a good pollster because he was within the 5% of margin of error. Everything has a margin of error. Geico has 3%, right? 97% say this thing, right? No one has 100%. I guess that's teva too. How many times have you heard from a doctor say, I don't understand, it's a miracle? Oh, I only heard it 4 times. And I by the doctor 50 times, right? That's not even 10%, right? How many Shemer Shabbos we got in the world? Shemer Shabbos. 1 million, 2 million, 3 million. You pick the number. I have no idea. The more the better, but I don't, the question, in reality, what are we talking about? Okay. How many people in the world? So let's say go for 3 million, right? 3 million Shemer Shabbos. 3 million Shemer Shabbos means, and how many people are there? 8.5 billion people. That means 3 out of 8,500 people are Shemer Shabbos. What's the percentage? So it's so minuscule, right, that it fits into teva. So the Rebbeinu says, that's how I run you Jews, like that. What's my raya that I do that for you? You have a neshama Yisera. And what's Rashi says in neshama Yisera? Look at Rashi over there. You eat a lot, you drink a lot, you can sleep a lot, and you're not bored. If you guys think it's funny, I'll tell you the truth. I have an aide. So I was in California for bar mitzvah, for nufel was over the top. I'm telling you, they had a hotel, food, on a shiur. What do you call it? The top stuff from top places. And my aide, I would say, come and eat, right? And I think over there, he says, I have to slow walk around. I'm still full from last night. I'm still full from before. So a guy said to me over there, he has no neshama yisera. But we can eat it, but only on Shabbos. Can't do it on Sunday. Only on Shabbos you can eat like that. So I show you every week that I control you. So what are you afraid of? I'm your God. You're sick? So talk to me. I'm the one that runs everything. So that's how they say Nashkocha Protis. So you have the Ramban, says a thing there in Parshas Shoftim. It's around Chamishi, I think it could be either it's Takam Plamiti, which is the post before Chamishi, or maybe a couple of psukim before. I don't remember. A lot of short Rambans, that's one. Like more or less continuous. And he says, if a guy tells you, and I think he's talking about an astrologer, and he believes in astrology. He explains astrology is a chokhmah. It's not magic. It's not, what do you call it? The only thing there. And Afal can it's also to a yid. So he says, so astrology, a guy will tell you you're going to die. You're supposed to tell him it doesn't apply to me. I have hashkocha protis. If not, you're Eva Nessa. That's the Ramban. If you look at the Malbim on that posik, he tells you if you believe them, you lose hashkocha protis. So all these guys who go to all these chemicals and all these labs and all these things, and they believe all the garbage that they tell them, so they get it, Taka, because they lose hashkocha protis. So I'm not going to tell you what to do. It's not my business. I'm not getting involved with them, but that's the Metzias. So look at the Malbim is right over there. Okay, that's what I think. So therefore, whenever someone has, the doctor told me, you have no hope, you got 2 months to live. Now, if you're a treifa, so you're a treifa already. So therefore, whatever it is, you can't live more than a year. You're Metzias. You don't have it anymore. But if Shad is that I can't see how this will last you more than this and this. How many stories have you heard that lasted 10 years and lasted 6 years and lasted this? What do you call it? Years, a couple of years longer for sure. And the thing over there, they don't know. It's only guesses. So what are you getting scared about? You got a God, the same God you had before. You didn't change. So what are we afraid of? That's what this Shabbos is for. That was the maton of Shabbos. And that is the Shabbos that we celebrate there, missing. Not the B'rei Soilum, not the Shabbos, we mention it, but the Ikil Zach that Shabbos is the Matone is Hashkocha Protis. Okay. Now, right after this, we'll talk maybe next week more about, I hope I'll be able to talk about why Shabbos is mentioned here and why it's mentioned in the beginning of Yaakov is also this over mitzvah that ain't being based on Mishloach Shabbos. Okay, but anyway, it starts with the Egel. Now, the mesa of building the Egel was that the Ma'aseh Avodas Aharon itself. So I want to tell you from the Pasuk it says it's not. Excuse me. They were looking for money. So he said, Aahron says to them, I want you to go get the money from who? From your wives and your kids. Right? Because he didn't figure they're giving up their own. Right? So I got to give some kind of jewelry for the donation, so it's my wife's and my kids. And what did they give? And in the end, it came out, they spoke of they only took off the clothes in their house. The wife said, go fly a kite. Right? They didn't give it to them. The kids didn't give it to them. So the only resolve they had was what they were able to donate. In other words, so the wives are a lot firmer. We have by this, by Kriyas Yamsuf, by everything you have, the wives are always firmer. And he throws it in, and okay. Here it says, Vayaseyu Egel Masecha. Later on, when he tells it over to Moshe, he says, Vayetes Egel Hazeh. Mashma, the Egel worked out by itself from the fire. Now, we didn't even make it, but here it says, okay. And then Aaron says, Ela kechi shel shluch melech Mitzrayim, vayar vayivim mizbeach lefonot, vayikar Aaron loima, vayemer chag l'Hashem mocha. Right? So, in a way, he was a major actor. Now, we know God was angry at Aaron, that we know. Because it says in Ya'akov, Aaron spelled that time, and Aaron God was very angry at Aaron, and all these things there. Yet with all that, he made Aaron the Kohen Gadol. Why? And if you're angry at a guy, I don't see why you make him a Kohen Gadol. I say because he couldn't find a Noy of Shalom V'Roid of Shalom except Aaron. So, Baruch Hashem, Sarah made it because he was a Noy of Shalom V'Roid of Shalom. Not because he was the tzaddik he was. We did this big thing. Chur dies for this. Now, what do you mean Chur died for and he doesn't? So let's talk about this. In other words, if you have Kohen v'Navi b'yom echad, is you have a big basic kinus on that, Kohen v'Navi b'yom echad. So, in this case, the Kohen was Chur, and the Navi was Aaron. Aaron wasn't the Kohen yet, but Chur was a Bechor, so he was a Kohen. So the Kohen, if he killed the Kohen of the Navi b'yom echad, it'll be something they can't forgive. So he's trying to postpone it. Chag l'Hashem mocha. But he made it look like this. There's nothing wrong with this, right? So what's wrong? So let's take a see. Hashem mocha, vayashkima mimochos. They got up the next day. Vayalu oivos, vayagishu shlomin, vayoshiv amlecho v'shosoi, and vayakumu l'tzachek. It's all the way at the end. Until they finished eating, they were not mitzachik. There was no Avodah Zarah yet. This is not God. This is a representation of God. You find there's a Ralbag in Tanakh. They talk about Yerovam and he made the Agolim, Shnei Agolim. Why did he pick a Gegel for? So he said because he brought a Raya from the Der HaMidbar, that he wanted something, we since there was the Beis HaMikdash, there was no Beis HaMikdash yet, right? This was the first of the Egel. So there's no Beis HaMikdash, no Shoreis HaShchina. So they had, Moshe was supposed to be whatever he was. He was like the Mokam HaShoreis HaShchina, I guess. So we need something to replace him. We need a Beis HaMikdash. We needed something. Next best thing is the Egel. So that's what they did. We have no Mokam. The Yehuda has the Beis HaMikdash. We're not in Yehuda. We can't be Egel Regel. So therefore, we're going to make an Egel. So the Yakasha should be, you see, it didn't work in the Midbar. Egel was not bad. Yeah, that's because they had an Erev Rav. They didn't know what to do with it, so they made it into an Avodah Zarah. We know what to do with it. There's no Avodah Zarah. So until they actually got to serve it and actually do it, they also weren't stupid. I mean, they asked the Kashi, he said, that's the big raya that was, you saw this took you out of Mitzrayim. Didn't even exist then, so they had to take out of Mitzrayim, right? This has nothing to do with God. It's the Hashchois HaShchina of the Tzchina that took us out of Mitzrayim. It has nothing to do with it. And Moshe Rabbeinu gives a special tefillah for this. V'miyemu Mitzrayim. It's important to know that the Cheshbon have its only question in how to learn Pasuk and Ya'akov. Rashi seems to learn in Ya'akev. He talks about the different Averos, and then he seems to go Aboim Yom Aboim Laila was there, and he seems to go back to Martin Diego, the thing there. And Rashi says that. But it doesn't make sense. He went away from it, the ego. He has that, and then he brings down the Tavero and this, and all the Averos and Avrazan. And then until he came to Kodesh Barnea, and he has all the Averos. And he has the Tefillah of the Meraglim. It's a different Tefillah. I guess the reason you need a different Tefillah, because if you have the same Tefillah, then you never can punish us. You always have the same excuse. Lama Yom Mitzrayim. So you can't kill us, right? So obviously that's not something that we can keep using the same excuse. In other words, it's something that you have to have a different excuse. And that's why he has the ego one. And then he brings the ego one. So I kind of, what's the Arboim Yom Arboim Laila that he didn't learn? That he started to pray was the 40 days that the Meraglim came back. Those were the 40 days that he was praying. As soon as he left, he knew he made a mistake, and he started praying. It shouldn't be nichshel, it shouldn't be this. So it comes out different pshat. Okay, that's just the point of... Yeah. Then Rashiva then asked Akashia, so I want you to say that the Benishim went through several stages. First, he went through the Indian of that after the Vayinochem Hashem al Rosh Edi Belas Islamai. He didn't forgive him. He's just not going to kill him. In other words, I said, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to wipe you out. I'm going to make you into Am. That I'm going to stop. I'm not going to do that. Then go from there. Then he says later on, he tells him, I'm also, where's the lotion there? When I'm going to come, I'm going to get them. When I punish them, I'll punish them starker. No, that's the same thing. So it's not pshat that it's a different punishment. No, it's the same punishment, but it's a harder punishment. What do I mean? That depends on the person. In other words, if let's say a little baby does something that you want it to stop, but it's cute anyway. The trouble is you keep laughing when you keep giving the patch, right? You said, no, but you keep laughing, so the kid keeps laughing too. So, I mean, you ain't going to teach anything that way. It's obviously, so you got to give him the look, no, the thing, then the kid will start crying. Okay, so he'll start crying, but they don't know what you mean, okay? But when you gave the patch didn't hurt. It went like this, right? Didn't hurt at all. And sometimes you give the patch, you go, boom, right? What does that depend on? It depends on how angry you are. So if the Benishim wants to punish you when he's not angry, you're going to get a patch. Well, it's going to be something that's a garnet. But if he's angry, that same patch goes bang. That's what I'm doing. And that's not called an extra patch. That's called, I'm just giving you a harder patch because I'm angry at you. I'm angry at you because of the ego. So therefore, every time I'll give you an einish, I'll give you a bigger einish. Not because I'm giving you a secondary einish. I'm giving you the same, but the einish is stronger because I'm angry at you. Okay. Then he asks the Shivit, we'll end with this piece. It says he's having a conversation with Yeshua. Yeshua says to him, Kol Mechom Ani Shomeya. Right? And he says to him, So לא יקול אנוס גבורה ולא יקול חלושה, כל אנוס אנוכי שנויה. What's this conversation? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, what's this so important to tell me such a thing? So Rosh Yeshiva learned this way, that if you become a leader of Klal Yisrael, and I guess a parent, you can't be down the Kav Schus anymore. You know, your kids, you're always down the Kav Schus. What's your kid doing now? He's doing his homework. How do you know? He told me he's going up to the room and it's quiet up there, so he must be doing his homework, right? So you're obviously not doing your job. The thing there. That's what he's telling you. You're not down with Kav Schus then. Why are you telling me it's a kol mechama? Because you hear noise. Where could the noise be? If it's not mechama, it must be mechama. So he said that's not Kav Schus. You have to analyze it. Is that kol mechama has kol aneis chalusha, kol aneis gevura, and it has somebody screaming, "Yay, we won!" and someone screaming, "We're losing." And then if you don't hear that, all you hear is noise. Then it's a party going on. Then you have to know what you're doing. So there you have no right to do it, and you can't be done that. And you're going to be the next leader. So you better know this lesson, that you can't just be done and say it's called a nice. I hear war. There's no war here. Very cool. Now, good Shabbos, everybody. Then I'm a Shabbos.